Hello everyone, and welcome to the 14th episode of the Gaming Times podcast. And this episode we'll be discussing about propaganda in the history, or just history in general, and with updates on corrupt CBS. So let me hear how the audio is. And this episode will be okay. So it's pretty crisp right now. Crisp. Don't know why my beard's like that today, but it is what it is. Looks more like a Wolverine type now. But first, let's talk about updating our podcast. And soon we will update webcams and lighting. And I'm looking forward to it because camera and lighting that we're getting are going to be used for the documentary and more to come. But hopefully we will be doing test videos of it. And hopefully you'll like the videos to show. And we can finally show our setup. The setup that I've been talking about for a while. I've been wanting to make a setup video for quite some time, but I haven't lately. But yeah. Okay. So, are you money hungry right now? So about war, I know this is like right into politics right now. So if YouTube wants to, Sarah, what are you doing? But anyways, I know it's jumping right into politics. If you don't want to hear it, it's fine. You can come back like in like 5 minutes from now. So we are money hungry right now. Our government is, and investors. And we say we are trying to stay out of war after Afghanistan, but clearly we want to go back into war because money being supplied to countries, weapons are being supplied to them, supply and demand. And the reason that this topic, I'm calling it money hungry, is that if we look back in history, World War I and World War II, we were in Great Depressions, and we got out of those Great Depressions by war. And World War I history books have like brief summaries of saying that it all started, why we joined was because a duke was assassinated. But yet that somewhat started. They made an excuse that we did start joining. But really, if you look at it, it's just sections of like each individual countries bumping heads with each other because they're trying to get certain sections of Africa because of how much oil and diamonds they have down there. And it's just not land, but one thing is oil. There's a lot of desert, but it's mainly oil and diamonds. We haven't heard that. We haven't heard that one. Wink, wink. I told myself to wink. I believe. But anyways, World War II, we joined for the right reason. We stayed out as long as possible, but we couldn't because of the reason of Pearl Harbor. And what was happening in Germany is unspeakable and will never be forgotten unless we forget. And that's why I made this video. History repeats itself if not learned from. And a main thing has happened about a main thing that happened in World War I was a ship that was going through a certain bay in England, and it was flying a specific flag, and we had apparently civilians or military men that were Americans, and then when it blew up, that's when like we had a huge outrage and joined the war. But going back to the history repeats itself if not learned from. A lot of people have been tripping over this, and let me hear the audio real quick. Had a huge outrage and joined. Let me adjust it real quick. Let me just hear it real quick. Over this, and let me hear the audio real quick. Let me me just hear it real quick. There we go. Now it sounds so much better. Okay, sorry that I was so quiet for a period in time. But let me resume back to where we were talking about. So, my last semester of college, I had to be in a liberal class, and I liked to I like to debate. I like to see other sides and whatnot, but I mean, sometimes I do like to rile people up and also give them good tips to think outside the box, because a lot of times they're like, I forgot how Steven Crowder worded it, like dogmented. There's conservative and dogmentive or something like that. But he has a point there, because they just don't want to think outside the box on really anything. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. But thinking outside the box, and this is, I have a saying that goes by, history will repeat itself if not learned from. And a lot of them were tripping up on it, and they were dumbstruck and didn't understand at all. And I'm being clear as day, as I said a little bit ago, and had to go into further detail. And I, at that time, it was a year ago, 30% of the world, and it's still rising, don't believe that the Holocaust happened. 30% of the United States population don't believe it happened. And that's scary. And then I had in parentheses, check that percentage now. This nightmare event happened 80 years ago. 80 plus years ago. And now it is up 46% in this world. The whole entire world, 46% don't believe that the Holocaust happened or never heard of it. Again, history repeats itself if not learned from. And let's see, I lost track. And I gave an analogy, and they told me the Holocaust wouldn't ever happen again. And I told them I pray to God that it won't ever happen again. And I told them it won't happen in our lifetime, but I can already see a pattern in this one start, something to that government really divides us by a pandemic and a race. They don't want us to realize that they are the problem. When Hitler was getting into, I know it's a bad, like if that's like a trigger word for the algorithm, if you say that name. So Hitler, when he was running for the Führer or whatnot, he was really advocating for sanitation of workshops, and they were really it was really helping with influenza, I believe. It was like a certain virus, but a lot of people caught it back then and they were dying from it. But he was really helping because of cleanliness in the places. And then that really escalated of like, okay, here's this this messed up person. And first it was, oh, just wash your hands, wear a mask and whatnot, stay 6 feet apart. And then it started to escalate and escalate and escalate. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's a problem. Here's something to fix. Oh yeah, we're so desperate that the whole entire world was in a Great Depression, and Germany was really hurting because they were still somewhat recovering from World War One. But yet here we are again in World War Two. They were taking on too much that they can handle, and they're fighting all these places. Like if they did a certain war plan, there's scenarios that they could have won, and it's scary. And I'm glad that they went a certain route that they lost. And it's just crazy that 46% of the population of the world don't believe that this monstrosity has happened, and it needs to be relearned. Yes, for America, they need to learn more history in school. They really need to, because it's like, oh, here's the Constitution in 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade. You have to learn it. You have to pass it to graduate. And then you have to relearn it again in high school. And you're missing out. And then my high school, yeah, we were like really like listening into what learning about Civil War. I understood that. And I asked my teacher when we'll be learning more about War II. And I'm pretty like up to date on what has happened. And our last day of school, of senior class, 45 minutes of this, and it was just a brief summary. And I'm like, really? I waited all year for this, and I was really pumped for it. And 45 minutes, and it was a brief summary, and I already know all this. But still, a lot of the things that we have of these certain people that are in certain places, and I'm not going to try to be specific because, YouTube and their algorithm wants to try to ban people that are trying to state the facts. And I have all the links in the description if you want to learn more about the percentage of how many people don't know what that the Holocaust happened. But the reason, and there's one thing, the reason why I wasn't on at 8 o'clock sharp was because I'm making Texas Roadhouse rolls, and I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, it's just really scary because I met a Holocaust survivor, Eva Kor. I mentioned this a few episodes ago about her. I should make like a whole episode about her, or try to make a documentary about her. She died in 2019, but if she was still alive today, she would be. I'm not going to put words in her mouth. I would like to know what her perspective and her thoughts are on this whole lockdown and tyranny that we are experiencing right now. And can't really see a pattern. And but yeah, the pandemic and race, and they don't want us to realize that they are the problem because they always want us to be divided. Because if we become united, we will find out they are the problem, and we want to try to get rid of them. And this pandemic I believe was an experiment, and yet I thought they were winning at first, but our truckers and so many people were that are protesting right now, and right away shows that we have a chance again. Because President Reagan once said that we are one generation from losing freedom. It's not passed down through the blood, but has been fought for. This experiment, and then end quote. This experiment, this government is doing and will do again. But I'll get in detail more into another episode. But yeah, it's just not right. They're really censoring, and then I want to know what's happening in Russia, the Russia side of everything right now. Because, yes, it's very terrible what Russia's doing. I understand. But yet, there's no coverage in Russia. There's protesters that don't want Russia to go into war. They're like, hey, they won their freedom. We don't need to fight. And then yet, those protesters are being hurt by the police. But yet we don't hear any media from them because they're censored and whatnot. I'm like, okay, if we allow the censorship like that easily for that country, then they'll just easily just say, oh, if you're okay of censoring this country, why isn't it okay to censor you guys? Because they're already trying to do that. But anyways, I'm going to start our first ad. I think I have 3, but I know that I have 2, but this will be a transition to our for our next topic. We're getting away from more of the politics and getting into more of the what's happening. And I think we go back into politics later, but just let me know if you want more of those. But anyways, we will be right back. Howdy everyone, I'm Clayton Draper from the Gaming Times podcast. We've put together a GoFundMe to create a budget for a documentary about corrupt corporations on issues that need to be brought to light. The budget consists of 3 priorities, which include purchasing a Vixia HFG50 4K camcorder. This will help us create a more professional documentary. The second priority is lighting and audio. And thirdly, there are traveling expenses, such as gas. Whatever is left will be put into a giveaway for our community on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe for this channel. And definitely, if you cannot donate, sharing is also encouraged. Shit. Really? Why was it muted? Why was my mic muted? Okay, so we were muted for a good period. So I'm gonna go back to this. Let me see what the last thing that I said. To see other side. The second priority is lighting and audio. Okay. Son of a bitch. We had this muted the whole entire time, but we're gonna make a really quick summary. So, I mean, I butchered it, but we had a Similac baby formula be recalled voluntarily, and I like how they say that, voluntarily recalled, and it's because of a bacteria that's found in it, and it's a Chronobacter sakatsuki bacteria that can cause serious invasive infections and premature infant death, or SIDS. And the most recent U.S. outbreak spanned 4 states in 2011, but now it's like a really big one because a few kids in Missouri have died from it. And it's getting out of hand. So I took them all off the shelf, and it says all of them off the shelf. And I worked at another store the other day, and they still have them. They still have them on the shelf. I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, what? I'm like, you had a product withdrawal. You had a recall. You had to take them off. They're like, oh, yeah, we were. I'm like, that's a priority. I don't care if you have a truck or not. So you have to take it off. So I took them all off, and they're sitting there. So hopefully they don't put it back on. But then, yet here we have another recall on a specific. How do I word this? I have to be very selective on it because of the algorithm and also being banned or whatnot or striked. So we have a particular test that you get the sniffles for something that we have been dealing with for 3 years, 2 to 3 years now. And one of them is being taken away or being recalled because it has similar ingredients that's in pest control and airbags to release the airbags. And it is very poisonous. Kids and animals can die from it very, very easily. And it's called sodium iodide. And then I did further research on that. And I have a link there today too. And US Today has talked about it. And I have a link on there. So YouTube, if you try to copy strike me, I will make a video about that. And they're being recalled, that specific brand. I forgot what it's called, but I can't really say it on here because if I do, then you can't. Because that leads us into the a part. I'll make a little 5-minute break for me for this. They talk about what was it for the State of the Union. We'll go in more detail State of the Union reactions in a little bit, but one particular thing is very, very tough, very, very tough, awesome President Joe Biden. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm doing a Trump impersonation. Where am I? What? Yeah, I'm gonna do a speech tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna read from the prompter. Yeah, and pretend I'm looking at the notes. But the thing was, that infuriated me the most was, oh yeah, we need to really punish the pharmaceutical companies because they're selling insulin for so high, they're so expensive. And then yet, after that little section, he goes back to, oh hey, for full vaccinations and everything is for free, we're gonna foot the bill, but guess who has to be paid? The pharmaceutical companies. And then they also mention about, why do you need firearms? You need a M16 that has 100 rounds in it to kill a deer. Do you think the deer are wearing Kevlar? No, that's for your home. You have rifles that are considered pistols because the chamber manufacturing of it is only allowing you to shoot with one bullet in it, and you have to reload it and whatnot, and it takes some time. But it's very accurate. And he's like, oh yeah, if you kill, they're trying to make it able to, if someone gets shot or gets killed by using this gun, it's not the person's fault, but they can sue the manufacturer that made the firearm. I'm like, so pencils, if I fail a test, do I have to blame the pencil or what? It wasn't me, it was the pencil that did it. But then yet he's like, right after he said about that they need to sue that, then about the vaccines and whatnot. The vaccines, if you have a bad reaction to it, you can't sue them. They're covered. So that's, I don't know. It's like he said that, I mean, they made the point because the rifle is for protection, self-defense, or anything else. But the other type thing is to be injected into your body. It's only one purpose, and it can do damage. So why can't you do something about that? I don't know. It's just, that's where I said no. Last night I played a game with someone on CSGO. I did record a conversation. It was just automatically recording the game that I was playing, and I'll have a highlight or whatnot, and it's about me not taking vaccine. And but yeah, we'll go to our second ad, and we'll get right back.
To continue in English, say English.
English.
Para español. I need to know what you're calling about. HR Coronavirus Call Center. Vaccine waiver accommodation requests. Or all other options.
All other options.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
All other options. All other options. All other options.
I'm sorry,
I'm saying it clear as day.
Thank you. Just a moment while I connect you for other payroll questions. Connecting. Although we are currently closed, you can schedule a callback for a later time during our scheduled callback hours. Scheduled callback hours are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. To schedule a callback during our scheduled callback hours, press 1.
Okay, I found out the reason. So all the mics that are on, like I have mic 1 on another section of OBS, it mutes all of them and all the scenes, which is kind of stupid. I don't like that update. They need to fix that again. So OBS, if you hear this, fix that shit. So I watched the State of the Union, so you don't have to. And it was as you expected how it went, and it was a disaster. In the beginning, I can already tell you that he was going to claim that he ended the naughty word pandemic, and we won't be saying it because of YouTube. Shit, I need to rehearse this. But anyways, I wonder how Antifa and BLM think about of the leaders that were saying that it was the president, vice president, and Speaker of the House all stand up and clap and support what he said. And I wonder how they react, because they did a full 180 and they're saying, we don't need to defund the police, we need to fund the police. These three in the center were disrespecting the men and women on the force. So it's like that whole entire time of 2020, the anarchy, it's like you're clearly showing that you're really desperate for points, because this is not going to bring them up. Because all the things that you have done, if you stay consistent, you probably could have stayed the same percentage or a little bit higher. But the thing is, you're all over the place. You're always doing full 180s, and everybody doesn't know what the hell you're doing. And this is his words, not mine. Quote, to fix this inflation is to keep the wages the same and just lower the prices of the item, end quote. You know that only works in a 2-year-old's mind, right? That's not reality. And what you'll have to do is raise the prices if you rise the wage. And it's also known as supply and demand. And oh, I almost forgot. On your administration, putting $10 trillion on our national debt, but it's actually 13. And shutting down our pipelines and buying from others, and not being an independent energy source that we had $1 to $2 a gallon with a mean tweet. Definitely not the old geezer's fault. Definitely not the old geezer's fault, because if you say that, you're banned. The thing is that I'm really mad about is that we're making sanctions that are gonna hurt Russia. But hey Putin, good old friend, could you send us 30 million barrels of oil for us? That'll help us for 3 days. Thanks. And making the barrel $100 to $110 a barrel. But the one thing that I don't know why people are like, a lot of people are outraged, but if it was the complete opposite party, oh, hell would have been broke loose. Because the State of the Union, and I'll edit this real quick of me here. Oop. I'm gonna lower that. Boop. Window. Alrighty. So, you probably already know this. I'm just gonna mute this here because these guys commentate about it. But the thing is, this geezer here, is talking about the Afghanistan, why we shouldn't have been there, the fire pits, and people are getting black lung, and then yet he's telling about how this soldier is basically suffering and drowning to death over time by a black lung, and then all of a sudden here she is just dancing right there while she is there, and I'll replay it real quick with the audio because I wanted to put my commentary on there. Let's just watch it real quick.
One being stationed at base is breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits.
Why is she clapping for that? What the fuck? What is this? Did you see that shit? Nancy Pelosi goes,
because
they have black lung.
The waste of war.
Because
medical,
she's drunk.
and hazardous material, jet fuel, and so.
Very, very disrespectful. Very, like, absolutely disrespectful in there. That's why I don't like politicians. And then going back to the fund me thing, here we have memology. I like to try to get in contact with him or her.
So does that mean you support proposals like what we've seen in Los Angeles, Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million, invest it in health initiatives, training initiatives for youth?
Right now,
Harris. What we're seeing in America is many cities spend over 1/3 of their entire city budget on policing. But meanwhile, we've been defunding public schools for years in America. We've got to re-examine what we're doing with American taxpayer dollars and ask the question, are we getting the right return on our investment? Are we actually creating healthy and safe communities? And that's a legitimate conversation, and it requires a really critical evaluation. I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
It is outdated, it is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is...
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police. Fund them.
Oh, yeah. And going back to I know I'm going back and forth, but the thing is, I'm blanking. I've been doing this for the past 2 days. The part where Biden's talking about the burn pits again. He's like, oh, for all these men and women that have died and suffered from this. Oh, I know the pain. He doesn't know the pain. Yeah, I understand that his son died by brain cancer of some form, but not by the pits and whatnot. But he's always saying, oh yeah, I understand the pain. I know the pain. You know second-handly about the pain. Because yes, it's your son. Here's your baby boy that died by it. But then yet you're like, oh, I'm going to take all the credit. It's kind of like you want you want to have a story, and then yet you're not the one that has like a tragic story. But if someone tells you about a tragic story, kind of like, let's say, someone from 9/11 has a tragic story, and then yet you hear it word by word and you repeat it. It's like, hey, here's my homework. Don't repeat it, or don't copy it, or change a little bit so it doesn't look like you're cheating. And that's what he's doing. It's like, hey, I'm taking all the credit of I know all the pain to it, and it's just absurd, so absurd. And one of the senators, lady, I forgot her name. She was the one that, like, it's not really rare for someone, like, yeah, there's booing, but someone's calling him out while the speech or whatnot. And she's like, how about the 13 men that you killed? Or 13 soldiers. There's some women in there, too. But I'm like, she has a point, because those 13 soldiers, their lives, I mean, they were killed. That was on Biden's watch. That's on him. Again, that's on him. But yet you can't say that shit on here because you get banned from it. And it's so dumb. It's like if you're saying stuff. And then yet here we have about the Russian thing. And Janet Yellen. People. It's like, yeah, we need a hurt. Hey, wait. Stop with the...
I know, it's out. It's sitting here. Hold on.
Jesus, she had a heart attack. She gave me a heart attack. Okay. But Janet Yellen, Secretary of Defense. Or Secretary of Treasury. She hands over $18 billion to Russia.
I think Senator Hoven answered this question, but what I want to do is encourage you to look at this problem longer term and from 35,000 feet. Name 2 countries who don't give a damn about reducing CO2 emissions.
China and Russia.
Name other. John Kennison's is an important policy. So is national security. And what Russia and China have done here, they have taken advantage of the effort to reduce CO2 emissions, which to the Biden administration means a frontal assault on oil and gas. It's so clear what's happening. And they're working together.
Nod his head for a few seconds.
It's about the East China Sea and the South China Sea and Taiwan and Africa. It's so clear. And the president needs to hit this head on. How are we going to win this? How are we going to make Putin a pariah? How are we going to kick him out of the international community, kick him out of the international marketplace if you don't attack his oil and gas? And it's not going away, folks. And at point 2, I need you to ask my friend Secretary Yellen a question. We just gave Putin $18 billion in special drawing rights. Secretary Yellen said, we've got to issue these special drawing rights. Make the IMF do it.
But anyway, yeah, $18 billion. And yet we're trying to hurt Russia. But yet we're not. See, they're not giving us the full story. And the thing is, for going back to Afghanistan, I saw this morning, and I'm like, man, they don't show this at all.
You know what I gave to Russia? You know what I gave? Nothing. I'm not going to tell you anything about what response I do. I don't talk about military response. I don't say I'm going into Mosul in 4 months. We are going to attack Mosul in 4 months. Then 3 months later. We are going to attack Mosul in 1 month. Next week, we are going to attack Mosul. In the meantime, Mosul is very, very difficult. You know why? Because I don't talk about military, and I don't talk about certain other things. So I don't have to tell you.
See, it's like Afghanistan. The Taliban, they were like, oh my God, how did the Taliban know? Oh, how did they know that we're leaving on 9/11 or like a month before? Because Neil Geezer keeps on announcing every other week saying, oh, we're going to pull our men at this certain time. Like months before. And then it's like, hey, here's a due date of when we're going to leave. So here, you should have done it without publicity, without media, trying to transition over power to Afghanistan. But yet you debacle that. And then a lot of people are going back into slavery and a lot of bad shit. But to end everything, this here made my night. So I'm gonna, and it was on news. It's actually shown that this is legit.
It's not clear what may have been taken, and no arrests have been made.
A 71-year-old man is accused of inappropriately touching a 12-year-old girl at the Walmart in West Memphis Sunday afternoon. According to court.
Oh my God. Okay, let's.
It's not clear what may have been taken, and no arrests have been made.
A 71-year-old man is accused of inappropriately touching a 12-year-old girl at the Walmart in West Memphis.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny, man. I'll mute it real quick, and then I'll change the speed real quick. Playback. He's like, oh my god. Because she's looking at the camera or the teleprompter, reading everything, and she's in front of a green screen, and he's on the side looking, focusing on what's displaying. He's like, oh shit. But yeah, that made my night. Still does. Still does. But yeah, I didn't really have that much to talk about for the podcast. I wish I had more, but at least I was able to make an episode, which I'm really happy to do. I've been really enjoying the Gaming Times podcast. We'll definitely have a guest on here soon. We'll try to get it next week. But anyways, have a good one, and we will post more ads and whatnot. I think I have one more. Let's see. We do not. So, anyways, have a good one. And we also have a GoFundMe if you guys are interested in donating, but we're not going to push you to do it. Just please share our GoFundMe. It will really help try to get the word out and try to get funding for what we're trying to do. I really need to put this to light. I really I don't know. It's just, I'm sick and tired of how so many people have been just like, yeah, it's your job. It's just a job. Just get away with it. But just leave it alone. Just move on and whatnot. I understand. Moving on is the best. But how many people are being affected by this and their lives being messed up? It needs to be brought to attention. So anyways, I'm going to put it on BRP real quick to show you the GoFundMe. Just say, hey, we got a GoFundMe, and I'll go back to the ad one real quick for it to play, and then we'll end stream there. So anyways, have a good night, guys. Thank you for watching. I know that there was no one really watching tonight, which hopefully if you're watching this, watching it on your free time, thank you all for watching and supporting. Please like and share the video, and please tell people to subscribe, and we'll definitely have another stream to basically do something to gain subscribers. But anyways, have a good one. Howdy everyone, I'm Clayton Draper from the Gaming Times podcast. We put together a GoFundMe to create a budget for a documentary about corrupt corporations on issues that need to be brought to light. The budget consists of 3 priorities, which include purchasing a Vixia HFG50 4K camcorder. This will help us create a more professional documentary. The second priority is lighting and audio. And thirdly, there are traveling expenses, such as gas. Whatever is left will be put into a giveaway for our community on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe for this channel. And definitely, if you cannot donate, sharing is also encouraged.